Hey guys, I finally got it done. I know you guys been patient, and I know you guys have been waiting for a long time. So thank you for people who've been watching. I know I got some people on doing Gmail. That is great. We got a good show. Now, if you're new to my channel, this channel right here it's a signals and systems type of channel, but we mostly focus on embedded work. So if you enjoy it, please leave a comment, thumbs up, and then on the next slide, I'll give you a chance so you can email your comments if you want to, or just leave one down there, okay? So, sorry. This is a history of electromagnetics, according to what I know from my physics book. Now, I know the History Channel probably have that aliens from outer space planted lodestones. You can either believe them, it could be ancient aliens, but right now this is all I got. All right, so the lodestones they believe were first documented 2,500 years ago in Manisa, Turkey. It was it was documented, and this is where they believe was the first documentation of lodestones. Lodestones have been around forever, but this is where it was documented. Okay, so they found out that there were poles, north and south poles, and the north poles are attracted to each other. So if they're attracted to each other, they will basically stick together. And then when they're not attracted to each other, they will repel. And so this is how it's sort of they came in north and south pole. Now these elements or these rocks, stones, whatever you want to call it, you can't cut them up and figure out where the north and south are. It's just no matter how finite there's always going to be a north and south pole on these stones. So, which is pretty amazing. Now, not until 1800 with the deal of electricity that batteries, magnetism became a huge deal. They were messing around with it, and they were messing around with batteries and messing around with how they could use this power, this properties, this physics properties. And so the three guys that I was trained was Michael Faraday, the chemist engineer. He was more of a hands-on engineer. He wasn't formally trained, but he knew a lot about chemistry. He came up with the benzene, but we all know, or he was the one that might have been coined for the DC motor. They call it the Faraday motor. It's not quite what you see like on the drills and what I'm going to show you, but the concept was there. There was Carl Gauss who came up with a lot of these equations. Some of the he helped out with the magnetism. And then there was Andre Ampere, who was an electrical physicist. He died at 18. All these guys were coming around the turn of the 19th century, and this was Andre Ampere came up with the right-hand rule to simplify some of this mathematics. And I'm going to show you that on the board, at least to show you how I interpret it. And so let's hope it matches your professors or what you think it is. And this right here is okay, so before I begin, I almost mess up a little bit. There was added to the invention of the DC motor that I saw on the internet with William Sturgeon and Motz von Jacobi. One was in England, I think the other one was in Russia, where they patented the DC motor design. Okay, so right now what I'm showing you are the magnets to the place, and so let's go ahead and watch that again. So let's go ahead and watch that again. So there it is. You notice it's just a coil of wire. The coil of wire. See, it spins. It spins on a shaft. Okay? took that off there awfully quick. And so that right there is the housing where the motor actually fits in. There are the two magnets on the side. Can you see those magnets are going to repel the flow of the B field. The currents will flow from either front to back or back to front. We're going to talk about that a bit more detail, and that's how it fits. When you put power to it, be careful. That is actually just coily wire. That's all it is. It isn't anything more than that. So it could short out your power supply. So you might want to put a resistor in there and all that stuff if you want to protect your power supply. Okay. So hopefully that gives you an idea. We're going to go over some of the equations, just the simple equations on the board. So I will see you then. We are now at the board section right here. Here on the board section, I try to do it just kind of like your professors do it, but it's on the video, so you can watch this section over and over again. We're going to talk about what's going on in your motor as it flows to your current as a conductor. So we talked about how your DC motor looks like this. So if you could see it right here, let me draw. So we're going to talk about the right-hand rule. Okay, right-hand rule. This has thumb, fingers, and all that stuff. This states right here, this is the instantaneous force equals the instantaneous current is orthogonal to the magnetic field. Does everybody understand that? So let's try that again. Let me look at the camera. So the force, there's a force, magnetic force is a force. Okay. It is 90 degrees from the current that is also 90 degrees to the magnetic field. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. At instantaneous, if you look at the motor, it's going to flow like this. From positive to negative, current flows positive to negative, electrons flow from negative to positive. Okay? So this is sort of an abstract concept. The moment you turn on your car or you turn on the DC motor, it has a direction. And it's going to go from positive to negative. But once that is established, the current is not a vector. And that's because your wires, I had to think about this. When you're set up your car, let's say you set up your wire like here, you got it upside down, you got it around, it's all twisted, it's going up and down and forward. You know, your circuit board, it's going up, it's going all this stuff. The flow of current doesn't matter if it's going north or south or east or west. Its current will be the same throughout the whole circuit. Same within the circuit to circuit. Okay, so as it flows, it's the same. It's when it's instantaneous, it's going to flow from positive to negative. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about the instantaneous current. Now, your motor has north and south poles. There's north and south pole magnets on there. There's magnets on there. As I show on the last video, is on a spindle. Take your current, this is your wire right here, and let's go ahead, let's assume that this is a giant motor. It's huge, okay, let's say it's big. Right-hand rule states that if I take my thumb, that's the direction of the current, and I curl my fingers up, and then I point the fingers that way, and I point it up, so your force, so your B field going this way, and your force is going to go up. Force is going to go up. Okay, so the rotation is going around the curl of my fingers. So it's going to go clockwise. Now, if I go the other way, take your hands and I go down, now the current goes this way, and now the force is going to go down. That's what it means. That's what that means. So try to take away the math of it, and I just want to think big. If you're a mathematician, don't look at the calculus behind it, because it's kind of intimidating. This is not X. This is a cross product, and a cross product means that it multiplies in the plane, the 3D plane form. But just try to understand. Now, since it's going north, that's going clockwise, okay? Now let's see if I turn these poles around, put the south and north, that's going to go counterclockwise. So that's how you can have forward and reverse in your DC motors. Pretty simple stuff, how it goes forward and reverse. And that's due to the Ampere right-hand rule. So make sure if you're taking physics, get to know that right-hand rule. It's like an engineering gang sign, so you got to understand it very, very well, because you're going to be talking about stuff that's current's going to go into the board, or current's going to go out of the board, or something like that. So make sure you kind of understand. This is more, you have to visualize it. It's not, rather than get down the microscope and get down to calculations with the calculator, you got to visualize what's happening. If you visualize what's happening, start big, and then go ahead and calculate. You'll be able to design products a little bit easier. Okay, so that should tell you everything. So let's go off to the next section. The next section, we're going to take it further, but we're going to take it on a big scale. We're going to take it on a society scale. So I'll see you there. Hello, everyone. So let's talk about the next part. This is we're going to do electromagnetics as a social science. So scientists has proven that the Earth is surrounded by electromagnetics. Okay, so there's north and south poles. So hopefully I got this stuff for free. I got it on the internet, and these north and south poles are constantly at the Earth, north, south, and there's constantly these waves of magnetics are hitting our body at all times. They're hitting our body. We constantly get absorbed by it, and so it's a constant thing to be hit with this field of energy. So engineers and science, we embrace the liberal arts, the social sciences, and we love art. At least I do. Love art, music, literature, and social science. But sometimes there's a connection between the physics laws and people. At PhD level, the theories can be offensive but true. So let's go ahead and discuss this. What am I talking about? So why do we think? Ever since humans have been able to talk with language, we've been bombarded with bias ideas. These bias ideas now in the 21st century, we have social media such as Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, radio, and TV that not only communicates, but it can incite opposition to dangerous levels. So I want to show you that we are constantly bombarded by signals. Facebook, we get people go on Facebook. There's Playboy. We constantly get images of that. Christianity and all these religions sort of, we get absorbed. YouTube, all these ideas. Our own country bombards on the radio. Fast food, McDonald's, Cane's. We just constantly get absorbed by all this stimuli. This stimuli is very it's very progressive. I'm just trying to adjust my camera here so you guys can see me a little bit better. Okay, so the theory comes. This is the magnet. So when I was going to school, I heard a professor. He was an English gentleman, actually East Indian English, and he came with this very subtle. And I caught it, but I don't think other students did. And we were talking about this magnet. We were talking about electromagnetics, and he says, "Well, the magnetic law of opposition can be found in nature." And I said, "What?" So groups of people will ferociously oppose other groups of people. And I was like, is that really true? So let's go ahead and discuss that. Let's go ahead and discuss that. So there are 3 types of proofing in science. There is a hypothesis where there's an educated guess. It can be easily disproven. A hypothesis is just a guess, like in 3 months, it's going to snow. I mean, who knows? It might snow, might not. If I roll a dice from 1 to 10, I pick 3. It might be 3. It might not be 3. You guess someone's favorite color, stuff like that. However, hypotheses are usually in science where they say, well, at what temperature do we boil something, And so it gets to graduate. Oh, it does boil. Okay, with water, it does boil at a certain temperature. Now, a theory is interesting. Theories are usually performed in a laboratory or in a control group, and these are usually documented by the universities and stuff like that. And theories are mostly true. They're generally true, but there are exceptions that may cause the theory to be not true. But doesn't mean it's not a sound theory. So attraction between men and women, which I use that as sort of an example. A lot of psychology is a bit that way. And they're just, they work on one case, but on another case they don't work. And a law is a phenomenon concept that can never be broken, like the laws of magnetism, what I just showed. The laws of magnetism itself, mechanically, that law cannot be broken. That's gonna work no matter what, and gravity, stuff like that. Okay, so Irish versus English. Okay, so I put this down here, and just showing images of Irish people around this circle. That's a little bit of the IRA, and these are Irish people, and inside here are British people. The British people are historically oppose Irish people due to maybe it's a class issue, maybe it's a religious issue, and they oppose. This is countries opposing other countries due to some kind of bias. So, and some of that can be very strong. It can be very, it could be very opposition in the family to oppose these such groups. We also have the Democrats versus Republicans. There's Trump in the middle there. We got Trump, Vance. It's the MAGA Republicans. They're in the center. We got the Democrats on one was telling you the must steal. All this is the opposition, the opposed. They're trying to get in the circle. It's spinning, but they're being opposed. There's the famous Democrats. There's Obama, AOC, all that stuff. So we're just showing how this is the Congress when they meet, usually when it comes to press conferences, and there is Obama basically winning the, I don't know, was it 2008 or something like that? Anyways, so that shows an example of how certain political groups will oppose certain political groups. Okay, so that's okay. So let's go on next. Now we're going to talk about the poor versus the wealthy. Okay, and so we see on the outside the circle, we see a broken down slum. These are American slums. If you're in a different country, it's all the same. So, and then there's the beautiful pop-up tents. Looks like they're camping, having a great time. And then there is there's the food bank. Yep, we're all just waiting in line, just because we're just, waiting in line. And then there is the American nomads with the RVs that are parked along the side of the highway, and it's been getting a bit worse as time has progressed. Okay, I just want to check. Okay, and of course in the center are our guys. There we go. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. Mark Zuckerberg's not even there. My bad. But he should be there. There's, you could kind of see a face of Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. I think that's Bloomberg. I think. Yeah, I think that is. And Bernard Arnault. These are rich people that have so much money they kind of wipe their butts with it. Okay, so now we're going to go to something a little bit more uncomfortable. I could have gone even more uncomfortable, but I said, that's good enough. That's good enough. So in the center is the Ku Klux Klan. This used to be a very racist group in America. They were ferociously didn't want anyone in their inner circle, especially if you weren't white. And so here on the background is the Martin Luther King Jr. We have a holiday after him. There's sad people who maybe someone's gotten murdered by the Klan. Then we show the Black Lives Matter. That's actually modern. And then we show a picture of Obama, which I think I wanted to put something positive there. And when you see that, you might question yourself, well, what is he doing there? Okay. So, all right, picture. And then there it goes. All right, just coming at you. Okay. Is the law of magnetic opposition applies to people or groups? Is it a hypothesis, theory, or is it a law? Thank God it's a theory for right now. However, it's a very strong theory. So Irish and English people, they do business, trade, and they marry. So there are exceptions to the rule, and this is just kind of like an exception that I can find. But this happens. It happens all the time, so it isn't a big deal. The Republicans do bipartisan. They actually do agree on some stuff every once in a while. It's not like hey, Republican, I'm a Democrat. If I give you $5 million, will you accept it? No. I mean, they do think. so it's not quite as not blindly opposing. They do hear this. So they got to provide free lunches for low students. 83% Republicans agree, 90% Democrats. That's a good bipartisan. Making the pipes clean, Republicans, they both agree, more Democrats. Legalizing abortion when women's health is endangered by pregnancy, they both agree. Requiring criminals with mental background checks for gun sales, they both agree. Now, and this is good. This is good. This means that it's not necessarily a law. That means that they do. However, it is a theory. So these are exceptions when they actually do agree. However, most of the time, they do oppose each other. Okay, so here is a theory where Tesla hires 175,000. That's poor. That's poor people need jobs. Most people don't have jobs. Are pretty poor. Bill Gates he gives away $200 billion to charity. Mark Zuckerberg donates several causes. Now, a billionaire will never invite some homeless man to their private homes at parties. That is probably a law. I mean, that is the Down and Out in Beverly Hills. That was a movie in the 80s that shows when they invited a rich person in Beverly Hills invites Nick Nolte. It's a laugh riot. I highly recommend you guys could go ahead and rent it, or maybe it's on some sort of one of those apps. I don't know. Let's go on to the next ones. But the billionaire, yeah, they don't invite poor bums at parties. Okay, so if there is a case, I would like to hear about it. Okay. A theory. This was one. Yeah, the President Obama is proof that American can be fair and impartial. So this is kind of this right here proves that not every white person is a racist. Or something like we had to vote for this. For Obama. He's a great president, by the way, and Americans can be fair and impartial when it comes to putting people in power. This was a huge milestone for America with such a dark past. But this right here, I'm very proud of this exception to the rule. Now, my conclusion: please be aware. There has been historic events where the opposition to the other group was ferocious, and I don't want to. I didn't put in Nuremberg, Germany, but in 1944 or anything like that, because I think that was a little bit too strong. But you can understand that would have been a very strong and aggressive opposition. But you can see that how groups get together like that can be very dangerous. Okay, so the laws of magnetism applies to groups is a theory, means it is true most of the time, but there are exceptions. So it is a good theory. It's pretty sound. And so what I'm saying is, if you ask questions, why am I opposed to this individual? Why? Is there a reason why? Is he or she that much of a threat? I mean, really? What media am I consuming make me think this way? There's a lot of media on the internet that's it's not all that healthy. There's the manosphere. I used to watch that a bit, and it got kind of like, guys, come on, man. That can be kind of unhealthy to be in that group manosphere, and it's kind of interesting why they call it the manosphere. Remember, it's a sphere that is opposing other groups. Am I a human being caught up in some cult that blindly opposes another? We just blindly oppose it, but we don't know why. Okay, so I will see you on the next Engineering Bard Show. And if you guys can stick around, I have a next clip. So if you enjoy my videos, thank you I appreciate the people who subscribe. Thank you. And I appreciate your viewers. We're getting a lot more viewers than we are subscribers. That's okay. We're still a small channel. I don't mind being a small channel. You can get away with a lot of stuff. We're on our way to 100 subscribers. 100 subscribers, I will get a YouTube coach. A YouTube coach is great. It will help me motivate me. It will criticize the way I do things, or even encourage the way I do things. And I appreciate people viewing. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Put a thumbs up. Put a comment down. Now, before I begin, okay, bear with me, folks. I know this is boring, but so 100 subscribers are huge. It doesn't mean much to the viewers because it's just a little button, but it means a lot to YouTube and me. You don't get paid unless you get 500 subscribers. I know you guys subscribe to silly stuff that's funny and stuff like that, and hot yoga videos where you see a woman's body. But okay, so that means .com. This is my email address. Please do not abuse it. Constructive criticism is nice. There's people out there. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the views. I will consider. I will consider anything. Try not to peddle. Don't peddle Bitcoin. Please don't peddle. I know everyone's in this peddling culture. I mean, I peddle. But please don't. If you got any ideas how to make the channel better, go give me an email. I don't do DMs yet. is because I need a separate phone. I need a private phone, and I need a business phone. I don't have a business phone. I just have a private phone right now. So Andrew Chatten, CHATTEN 80 at gmail.com, and I will do the best I can to answer. Just say hello, Engineering Bart, or hello, Andrew. I saw your stuff on YouTube. This is for YouTube stuff. Appreciate it, and